When does a Nissan leak up into infinity territory? Some folks ponder that when they drive the '09 Maxima SV. Let's take it for a ride, check the tech, and try and find that line. Now, inside our Maxima, I am less convinced than some people that it's kind of like a baby Infiniti. There's still an essential cheapness to this car. For example, this metal surface is not a faux carbon fiber or an engine turn finish. It's just silk-screened, printed metal. That doesn't mean it's an ugly car inside. Let's start with the head unit, which has got some real nice Infiniti DNA. You recognize that controller with a spin wheel, 4 compass buttons, additional pointers in the mid corners, and an enter button right in the center. And if that's not enough, you've also got voice command on this system. And if that's not enough, it's also a touch screen. As you can see, I'm in a 3D bird's eye view right now, which has always been kind of an Infiniti thing. You can move around through cities and kind of get these fly-through building representations. Now, the music input sources on this car are quite voluminous because we're optioned up with what's called the Sport and Technology package. For example, go to the AM/FM and you've got the obvious stuff. You've got satellite radio, of course, here. That would be XM on this car. But things get really interesting here on the disc aux button. That'll take us through the iPod connector, which lives in the console. Next to that, you'll notice we have auxiliary jacks, both stereo audio and video. Here's the music box, 9.3 gigabytes of devoted storage for you to rip your music to. I've put a couple of them on there, and again, touchscreen access, and things happen quickly because it's hard drive based. Here's your CD player, 6-disc internal. Be careful when you option this car. It is possible to get the navigation head unit and be bumped down to a 1-slot CD. You've got to get the right packages lined up to get nav and 6-disc. Compact flash is an oddball, lives down here. With the exception of a few high-end digital SLRs, we don't use compact flash for cameras anymore. So you're either a photo buff and you use that, or you got some old compact flash cards from back in the day. Now, on any of the packages that include the 7-inch color LCD, you can get the rear view camera hooked up. By the way, you don't have to have nav to have that 7-inch color LCD. There are configurations of this car that use it solely as an information panel and backup camera. And of course, XM radio tells us we have XM nav traffic as our live traffic source. Another basket of tech that separates this car from an Infiniti is the fact that the Maxima doesn't offer lane departure technology, adaptive cruise control, or Infiniti's around view monitor. One engine only, a healthy version of the Nissan corporate 3.5-liter V6, turning out 290 horsepower in this car and 261 foot-pounds of torque. Your only gearbox in this guy is a CVT, electronic CVT with a sport mode and all that blah, blah, blah. Generally, you'll find the shift patterns have been nicely revised and are one of the best CVTs we've driven, especially with a relatively roary motor. You've also got, blessedly so, column-mounted paddles up here that don't fly around with the wheel. They stay where you can get them. The engine-tranny combination delivers 1926 as the MPG, but more importantly, it delivers a real willingness to run. This CVT gearbox has been really well programmed. It feels engaged, some things CVTs don't always do. Shifts are quite sharp and punchy when you take control yourself, simulating real gears fairly well. Of course, the Maxima is front-wheel drive, while Infinitis are rear-wheel drive, in case you're still trying to make the comparison. Our car has a sport package that gives it a firmer, though not adaptive, suspension, as well as 19-inch wheels and 40 series tires. Now let's price this '09 Maxima SV. Starts about $33,500 for this particular model, but then you get into this bewildering array of sometimes overlapping packages, and they're pretty chunky, so not a lot of a la carte going on here. Let it suffice to say you're going to spend somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, I would say, to get this car nicely loaded with all the tech and comfort toys.